Nobody is thinking about you. Right now, the person you spent 3 sleepless nights worrying about has already moved on, caught up in their own deadlines, their own quiet fears, their own life. They aren't replaying what you said. They aren't analyzing your mistakes. They're just living. And you know that, not as a new realization. Part of you has known for a long time that they aren't there the way you imagine, that the stage is empty, that you've been performing alone, and yet you keep going, keep editing, keep replaying, keep waiting. Not because you don't know, because knowing isn't enough to stop. Because while your mind knows, your body doesn't agree. Cortisol rises, heart beats faster, chest tightens. Those reactions don't ask for your permission. The Stoics understood this. Not a psychological problem, not that you're weaker than others. They called it a sign of something unlearned, a distinction most people were never taught. Without it, the body reacts, and you follow. With it, the body still reacts, but you're no longer pulled along. Until you learn that distinction, you're still performing for an audience that left a long time ago. Editing every word before you speak, rewriting messages 3 times before sending, building a version of yourself designed to be accepted, to be chosen, to be seen as enough in someone else's eyes, while none of them are watching. This is not a video about becoming cold, not a call to withdraw. It's something else, a reminder, sharp, heavy, necessary, that the most liberating thing you can do with your one life is stop asking the world to validate it. There's a word for someone who understands this, someone who doesn't need an audience to know where they stand. That word is sovereign. Drop it in the comments below, not for us, so you can hear yourself say it. In the next 20 minutes, you'll understand why your brain keeps generating an audience that isn't actually there. Not theory, specific mechanism. You'll see clearly what's been lost. Not just the project you never started, not just the time that's gone, but the part of your real self that shrinks a little every time you choose to perform instead of exist. And you'll have one thing to do. Not stop caring what people think, but a 3-second question you can use the moment the anxiety starts. Don't skip part 3. But before we get there, the mechanism first. Why your brain creates that audience, and why it holds on so hard. Without understanding this, everything else is just theory. You just said something in a meeting. Nobody reacted strangely. Nobody frowned. Nobody paused. The meeting moved on like nothing happened. But 2 hours later, you're still replaying it, analyzing your tone, second-guessing your word choice, wondering what they thought when they heard it, building a courtroom in your head where you're the defendant, the judge, and the defense attorney all at once. And the people in that meeting? They're thinking about dinner. This isn't a metaphor. This is data. Thomas Gilovich and Kenneth Savitsky, 2 researchers at Cornell, ran a simple experiment. They had students wear a shirt with a prominent image on it, then walk into a room full of people. Those students estimated that roughly 50% of people in the room noticed the shirt. The actual number? Under 25%. And even those who noticed, they forgot almost immediately, because they were too busy worrying about their own things, about how they came across, about the invisible spotlight they imagined shining down on them. You are not the center of the room. You never were. Everyone is too busy managing their own internal courtroom to sit in judgment of yours. The tragedy isn't that the audience doesn't exist. The tragedy is how much of your life you've spent performing for them anyway. The Stoics had a name for this: spending energy on something that was never within your control. Other people's opinions never are. They never were. But your brain doesn't know that. Over millions of years of evolution, humans lived in small groups. Being cast out by the tribe wasn't a social inconvenience. It was death. No food, no protection, no future. So your brain learned to assume everyone is watching and fires the same alarm system it uses for physical danger every time you risk rejection. You feel it in your chest when you say the wrong thing, in your stomach when you stand in front of a crowd, in your head when you check to see if anyone has responded. That's not weakness. That's wiring built for a world that no longer exists. But the Stoics understood what your brain can't tell itself. Emotions firing are not commands. Between what happens to you and what you do with it, there is a space. Freedom lives there. Marcus Aurelius practiced in that space every day. Not on the battlefield, but in the pages of a journal no one was meant to read. 161 AD, Rome. Marcus Aurelius had just become emperor of Rome. The empire held nearly 60 million people. Every decision he made was recorded. Every word he spoke had witnesses. He lived under a real spotlight, not imagined, every day for 19 years. And he still wrote in a private journal, pages never meant for publication, never meant for posterity, only for himself. That it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion of us than our own. The man who ruled the largest empire in the world, in the middle of the night, still had to remind himself of this. Not because he was weak, because this is how the human brain works. Even the brain of someone governing 60 million people. The mechanism doesn't disappear when you understand it, but it changes when you know how to see it. Next time you walk out of a meeting and feel the replay starting, don't fight it. Let it run for 2 seconds, then ask one question. Is anyone in that room replaying this same moment? The answer is almost always no. Not so you become indifferent, but to remember, that courtroom only has one person in it, and that person is you. The audience isn't real, only in your head, not in the room. But seeing the mechanism isn't enough. You still need to know what you paid, not feelings. The things that don't come back, including a piece of yourself. The project you never started. Not because you didn't have time, because imagining someone's face when you fail was more painful than the failure itself. So you didn't begin. And the idea sits there. Every morning you wake up and see it, untouched. The email you never sent. You drafted it, read it back 3 times, then closed it. Then the opportunity passed. The person on the other end never knew how close you came. The thing you didn't say, you knew it was true. You knew the other person needed to hear it. But the room was comfortable, the air was easy, and you chose to keep it that way. Then went home, carrying that unsaid thing alone. This isn't a small list. This is your life. Psychologists have documented a consistent pattern in people who silence themselves, self-silencing, linking it to depression, anxiety, and a gradual erosion of authentic identity over time. Not because of one moment, because it accumulates. Every time you shrink yourself to preserve the mood in a room, you're not being polite. You're training a reflex that your truth matters less than their comfort, that who you really are is something to be managed and hidden. And the most dangerous part is, it never announces itself. It whispers. It calls the shrinking politeness. It calls the silence maturity, not virtue. A slow disappearance. The Stoics called what's being lost prohairesis. Your capacity for inner self-governance, the ability to choose from within yourself. Nobody takes it from you. You're practicing the habit of giving it away, a little at a time, every day. Around 60 AD, Rome. Lucius Annaeus Seneca was writing letters to his friend Lucilius. He was past 60, had been an advisor to an emperor, had been exiled, had lost everything and rebuilt it all. And he wrote, Omnia aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum est. All things are alien to us. Time alone is ours. Not money. Money can be earned again. Not reputation. Reputation can be rebuilt. Time. The hours you spent rewriting messages, replaying meetings, performing for an audience nobody was sitting in. That time doesn't come back. Something happens when you stop performing. You see who's actually there. Attention and love. They look similar from a distance. They're not. Attention is cheap. Anyone can give it. Someone can follow every detail of your life, not out of love, but out of habit, loneliness, needing someone to feel useful to. Real love shows up differently, in consistency, not intensity. In ordinary moments when there's nothing to gain. Real love doesn't need an audience. Part of you knows this, but another part keeps adding messages, keeps explaining one more time, keeps performing. Because that attention, even if it isn't love, is still warmer than silence. That's the trap. And when you stop performing, the people who were only there for the arrangement will quietly fade. Messages get shorter, then rarer, then gone. That hurts. It's supposed to hurt. That pain is information, not a verdict on your worth. It's telling you the connection was never as mutual as it appeared. You were loving a relationship. They were enjoying an arrangement. The price you've been paying isn't emotional. It's real time, real decisions, things that don't come back. You've seen the mechanism. You've seen the price. The only question left is the hardest one. Who are you waiting for to change this? Nobody is coming. And that isn't bad news. It's the only freedom that's real. Nobody is coming. Not to bring you the motivation you've been waiting for. Not to give you the explanation you're sure would finally let you exhale and move on. Nobody is coming. And this wasn't a tragedy. This is the clearest truth you can accept. There's a kind of waiting most people don't recognize as waiting, because it has become the texture of daily life. You wait for someone to notice how hard you're working. You wait for that relationship to change without having the conversation that might change it. You wait for conditions to improve before starting what you've been meaning to start for a long time. This waiting has its own gravity, because when you're waiting, you can't fail yet. When you haven't tried, you haven't been rejected. Conditions will never be more favorable. And while you wait, the water doesn't warm. Time just passes. The Stoics had no concept of waiting for permission from outside, because what you need to begin was never out there. Around 60 AD, Rome. Epictetus was born a slave. Not a metaphor, literally. No property, no status, no control over his own body. According to some accounts, his master once broke his leg simply to demonstrate that he could. Epictetus didn't wait for someone to come and free him. Not because he didn't want freedom, but because he understood something most free people never grasp. There is a kind of freedom no one can take from you, and no one can give you. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. What is in your hands right now, with the exact circumstances you have? More than you think, more than the waiting suggests. Your health is largely in your hands. Your habits are in your hands. Your honesty with yourself and the people who matter to you, in your hands. Your attention, what you read, what you build, what you pursue, in your hands. Nobody is coming to do any of that for you. Nobody is watching closely enough to notice if you quietly stop. And that is precisely the freedom being offered here. Marcus Aurelius called it the inner citadel, a place inside you that external circumstances cannot reach, unless you open the gate yourself. Your opinions, your values, your commitments, your character. Nobody can take those from you, but you can abandon them. And performance, the daily act of choosing the crowd's approval over inner integrity, is that form of abandonment. Slowly, without drama, one piece at a time. Stopping the performance isn't a dramatic moment, not a declaration, not a turning point. It's a practice, every day. Nobody applauding, nobody watching. In the room where you sit alone and must choose between what's easy and what's true. So what does that actually look like? Not stop caring what people think. That's useless. Your brain doesn't have an off switch for that. Here's what you can do. Smaller, more specific, more practical. Next time you're about to edit yourself before sending a message, an email, an opinion, a decision, pause for 3 seconds. Not to stay silent, not to hold back, but to ask one question. Is this serving me or serving an audience nobody is sitting in? You don't need a long answer. That question alone is already the action. Because the moment you clearly see who you're performing for, that audience loses some of its power. That's how the inner citadel gets built, not with one big decision, with 3-second pauses repeated in rooms where nobody is watching. And gradually, what you build in that silence becomes something no performance can ever replicate. What does that version look like? Not someone who no longer worries. Cortisol still rises. The replay still starts. But something is different. You catch it earlier. You pause before following. You ask the question, then choose. Not always, not perfectly, but more often than yesterday. And in the time no longer spent performing, something starts to get built. The project you'd been putting off. The conversation you'd been avoiding. The version of yourself you hadn't dared to be because you didn't know what it looked like without an audience. Now you know. No audience doesn't mean empty. It means you no longer need someone sitting there to know you're doing the right thing. The question you came in with, how much have you lost before realizing this? Now you know the answer. Nobody is watching you the way you fear they are. They never were. The moment you truly understand that, not just hear it, but understand it, that isn't the moment you feel free. That's the moment you remember you always were. You've just been performing for an empty theater. If this landed somewhere in you, drop one word in the comments below. Sovereign. The person who doesn't need an audience to know where they stand. Subscribe if you want to keep going. Not for us. For the version of you that's done explaining yourself. Stay silent. Stay sovereign.